Okay, I couldn't create this segment and not include this anime. An anime which is in the hearts and minds of most anime fans and enthusiasts. If you're not a major fan of it, you're at the very least aware of it, and its significance in getting anime on Western television in the early 2000s. A story about people fighting each other for the very future of the universe with awesome energy blasts, epic scenes, and memorable moments which are emulated and lauded as some of the best in anime. Of course, you also get the symptoms of shonen series, animes aimed at boys and young men, of long stare-offs, power-up sequences which last for hours, and cheap kills used to placate an audience rather than being creative. Yep, it's Dragonball Z, a show which holds a lot of significance in my mind for many reasons, but here I'll mostly talk about my discovery of this awesome show. Here's a clip from the YouTube channel Dragonball UK version of what we pretty much saw when Dragonball Z first came out in the UK.
Dragonball Z, the brand new show, starts March the 6th in 1-hour specials only on Cartoon Network. You'll never know what hit you.
Those commercials are what greeted me, and my 13-year-old eyes. I was blown away and had to watch this. This was back at the beginning of the 21st century, and up until then, I'd only seen a small cross-section of my brother's anime collection, which in itself was cool, but it was a little heavy. What I was looking for was something a bit more straightforward, and Dragonball Z was perfect. Toonami, which had begun in the UK not too long before, was mostly a haven for US action cartoons such as Johnny Quest and Batman, but they were a little familiar. Then comes along this show about guys punching each other to death and blasting people and things into bits in an instant. Such violence and yet little bloodshed or cursing. This was the censored original, to be fair. It was crazy, and I couldn't get enough of it. I don't really need to go over the story too much. It's so long and epic that it's hard to summarize other than the following. A guy called Goku and his friends fight a bunch of villains who seek to destroy the Earth. That's pretty much it. Of course, there are other events along the way which fill up the story enough to stop it becoming boring. As the bad guys get stronger, the good guys get new powers in which to fight them, each more striking and deadly than the last. You know the good guys will win, but it's sure as hell a fun ride. Back to my courting of the show. Before 2000, I had no idea Dragon Ball itself existed. After March the 6th, 2000, I needed more. I remember frantically begging my mum to get home quick so I didn't miss the new episode at 5:30 every weekday. For months, this was a regular occurrence. I adored this show and began searching for information on the show online, for pictures, music videos, and even made some of my own, which are thankfully lost in the mists of time. Fortunately, in the UK, we didn't have to wait long for the rest of the Namek saga to air on TV, as it arrived 6 months later in September. This was even more exciting than the Saiyan saga, and it cemented my passion for this show. Right up until 2003, I continued to watch Dragon Ball Z as much as I could, and even wondered when the other series such as GT and the original would air. They did, sure enough, that same year, and add to the world that Z had established. I suppose the one thing that attracted me to the show was the marvel that was the Super Saiyan. This being formed of pure rage and power, was radiating its aura right off the screen and into my heart. I was aware of transformations of characters into more powerful forms. Power Rangers and the like had taught me that. But this example was something else. That first moment when Goku explodes into a frenzy of anger towards Frieza was a moment I still cherish. I'll explain more about my feelings later. Goku is a placid and morally just being, and to see him suddenly have no problem pummeling someone with no hesitation was shocking and mesmerizing. I was entranced, and despite the Super Saiyan form slowly becoming diluted amongst many characters over time, it has become one of the most ubiquitous images of anime out there. My feelings were further enhanced when I watched the first Cooler movie, Movie 5, Revenge of Cooler. This was the first Dragon Ball Z movie I'd ever watched, and it was incredible. It's not my favourite movie, that'd be Movie 12, Fusion Reborn, but it again got me fixated in aiming to watch all the movies one day. I must confess I have yet to watch Movie 10, Broly's second coming. Goku is one of those characters who can arguably be described as the best example of how to be a good guy, although he can be also one of the most selfish. His original voice actor, Masako Nozawa, was a voice I had never heard before when I finally got to hear the original dub. Her performance and tone was unlike anything I'd had heard before, and although I have grown up with the voices of Corlett, Kalimis, Schemmel, and Morrow as the English version, I felt that Nozawa was the truest example of the character. If you crossed Nozawa's Goku, her tone was menacing, and yet it could also be playful when Goku was happy. Such a sparse range was amazing to witness. I still wish to meet Nozawa-san one of these days. It's obviously why my username is Masako. Then we come to Team 4-Star. I got to voice Goku in a couple of movies beforehand, and it was amazing to get to voice the character in some capacity. But now the team was embarking on parodying the series proper. I was, you could say, interested. I remember being happy to the point of distraction, and practiced constantly to better myself as Goku, and of course Gohan too. Over the years, this excitement has gotten stronger, and shall never die. I feel a connection with Goku. A connection has gone back into my performance of him, and it's always heartwarming to hear people like what I do with the character. Going back to my point about Super Saiyans, the moment I voiced him in episode 30 of Dragon Ball Z Abridged, and did the Super Saiyan scream for the first time, I did 25 takes of that. That's how serious I was to honouring the character's legacy. It may sound pompous, but it's the truth. So, Dragon Ball Z, a true gateway anime. It was the first show that I really got involved with and gotten really into. I'm not the most knowledgeable person out there on the subject, but I feel like I know a fair bit about it. A true classic and one of my top 10 series. If you like what you heard, please visit my Patreon page to help grow Anifile at patreon.com/MasakoX.